Hello internet, welcome to another update video. First and foremost, I do have some good news. My sister gave birth. My first nephew, he is premature, but both my sister and the baby are doing well. They both appear to be healthy. So I'm an uncle again. So that's definitely something. I found that out a few hours ago, and it's just nice to get some good news for once instead of all the horrible crap that normally is going on. Speaking of horrible crap, we're going to continue talking about my brother. Just as an update to the situation, it is largely resolved, at least temporarily. But in my freak out a little bit yesterday, I was posting on Twitter and on YouTube, so I figured I ought to give a follow up and explain some things. So, yesterday, I had heard my brother arguing with my family about taking our car, which I mentioned in the previous episode. They left. I did not know what to do, and I didn't really know what was going on. So that's when I recorded the video just to talk a little bit out loud and kind of get my head straight. Then I found out that they were at the hospital, and I couldn't get a hold of anyone. I didn't know why they were at the hospital. I thought he had maybe attacked one of my family members. I feel like he's been escalating for a long time. And I was worried that he might have attacked someone. I couldn't get a hold of anyone. No one was responding to me. So for several hours, I was just sitting here. I even recorded a YouTube video, Cataclysm video, while I was waiting. And I shouldn't have done that because it was just abject misery of not knowing what's going on with my family. But basically, what had happened was my brother got into the argument about the car and stormed out. And my family took him around to like appointments and things. And then he demanded that they go to the police station where he would file a missing persons report. She took him to the police station and he went in, and he was bizarre the whole time. Like, even before they got there, he was not really seeing things around him. He was talking to strangers, just kind of talking to himself. And it was very peculiar, apparently. Um, but the family member took him to the police and he wanted to lodge a missing persons report. And immediately upon speaking to him, the police knew that my brother was very severely mentally ill. Like, within less than a minute, apparently, they pulled my family member aside immediately and gave her the number for crisis and was like, he is not okay. You should contact crisis and you should take him to the hospital. So, family member kind of convinced, and like the police, I guess, probably talked it up to make it sound like, like, oh, well, why don't you go out to the hospital? So, my family member took him to the hospital where they attempted to check him in for mental health treatment. The doctors, pretty much everyone that he saw, immediately recognized that he's not okay. And they wanted him to be admitted. They wanted to hold him. And he and my family member was like just begging him, just sign these papers. You need a break. You need to go. Even if it's just for a few days, you need to go and get some treatment. And he ultimately refused. He said he would do it. And then when they put the papers in front of him, he didn't understand why they were trying to check him in. Like, he flip flopped. Like, I think he has moments of lucidity where he recognizes he's not doing okay, but then it flip flops back and he's like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to commit me? And they basically said, he, unless he threatens someone or hurts himself, we really can't force him to be admitted. He is an adult. And so he basically demanded that they bring him home, and then they just showed up at home. So basically, I did not know what was going on with my family, and then they just came home, and my brother was there, and I went to talk to my family member, and she was like, go back upstairs. I don't want him to see us talking because he's like gonna freak out. Like, he's on the brink of losing his mind. He's very angry at you. You're gonna get in, he's gonna do something. You should go away. So I just went to my room and spent the rest of the night struggling, with the fear and all that stuff. And woke up today and went to went to use the bathroom and then was just like afraid to be out of my room. And then I went to get something to eat, and my family member pulled me, and called for me and said like, hey, he's in the hospital. He was committed. So apparently today they went back. He had been wandering through the house and like just being very bizarre. He didn't seem to know where he was or what he was doing, and he kept talking about people who weren't real, and he was just really delusional. Um, and my family basically, I guess, I mean, essentially, it sounds like broke down crying, begging him basically to go to the hospital. They called Crisis again. They spoke with someone from Crisis. They told her, if you can, bring him back to the hospital so we can talk to him again. And they went up to the hospital, and the doctors decided that it was best to commit him. Like when he got there, I guess he was struggling to walk. Like he hasn't been eating, he hasn't been sleeping. He's just completely broken down. Um, and like they brought a wheelchair out because he just couldn't. He just wasn't able to function. He didn't know where he was. He wasn't seeing properly. It seemed like he couldn't see things around him. So probably just like a major break with reality would be my guess. And they basically said like he's so unaware of where he is or what's going on. I think it's best if we do commit him. So the doctors did have him committed, which they had just told my family member like we can't do it unless he hurts someone or hurts himself. But they committed him today. I don't know what changed. He's it's the same person he has been for days. Just completely out of reality, completely unaware of like I said when we talked, it seemed like he didn't even know I was there. Some days I come in and out of the door, and he'll just be sitting in front of the front door, and I have to like literally climb over him basically to get in the house because he just doesn't know I'm there. It's like he doesn't even see, like, my car pulls up right in front of him. I get out, like he just seems completely unaware that I'm even there. So very sad situation with my brother. I don't know what to feel anymore. I constantly flip flop. Like some days I feel like, I want him to be arrested. Some days I feel threatened by him to the point where I'm like, I wish he would just go to jail. And then other days I just can't stop thinking about how hard it would be for him if he was in jail, or how hard it must be to be constantly delusional and completely unaware of what reality is, and because he doesn't understand how sick he is, how hard that must be, and how scary it must be to constantly think that everyone is working against you, and thinking people are hunting you, and you're hunting your kid, and like all these crazy delusions that are just so, for him it's all reality. All of that stuff is fact. And it's just so sad. I don't know what else to say about it. It just makes me so sad when I think about it. I do think him being committed is the best course of action. I do think it was going to escalate to him being violent or killing himself, honestly. So I think it's good that he can be in a place where people can observe him and work with him and can make him take his medication, because he has not been taking his medicine. They did drug test him, and he has not been taking his medication. I don't know. I want him to talk to therapists. Therapy has helped me so much in my struggles. I want him to be in a place where he can take his medicine and see doctors and talk to doctors. And my family, I got to be honest, this is the first time they've really taken these steps. Previously, I talked about it on the channel. They completely ignored all this stuff. They just kept saying, they just kept closing their eyes and saying, oh, it'll get better, it'll get better. And it wasn't getting better, it was getting worse, and they were not taking steps to do anything. They just wanted to ignore it and hope that it fixed itself, that all these things would just magically work out. And this is the first time with them speaking to police and calling Crisis and actually talking to the doc. This is the first time they've really taken a step, like to do something about it. And it's a good sign. And when I talked to them, like we talked for like 45 minutes today, because I still didn't know what happened yesterday or where everyone was or what had happened. And so we talked for like 45 minutes today, and hearing them talk, they still have that denial aspect where it's like they think it'll just fix itself and he'll be able to come home. But they're also talking more like coherently about, well, when he comes home, I want to plan with the doctors. I want to talk to the doctors before we bring him home. I want to know, before we start putting him around his daughter and things like that. We want to know that he's okay and he's not dangerous. And like they talked about working with his doctors, which is like such a refreshing change, because prior to this, she literally just said, I don't want conflict. I just want to let this happen, and whatever happens, happens. And it's just such a terrible way. You have to take an active role if you're going to be the homeowner giving a person a place to live. It's true no matter what the person is dealing with. If it's mental illness, or if it's your kid, or maybe someone commits a crime and needs a place to stay, like a halfway house, whatever it is, you need to be an active member of that. You can't just say, oh yeah, we'll bring them to the house. Oh yeah, sure, we'll adopt such and such, just bring them to the house, and then you ignore them and let them do whatever they want. That's not how it works. You have to take an active role in guiding and helping a person. So I'm hopeful that my family will be more proactive in the future with interacting with him. I can't tell you how much of a relief it is to get him out of the house. Like I'm just so scared of him. I've been barricading my door when I sleep. I've been dragging a table in front of it, all kinds of extra stuff, just because like, it's not like my brother is a bad person necessarily. I don't know him very well as a person. I don't like him very much, to be perfectly honest. The person that he's growing into, I don't really like him. But this is not him. This is his mental illness. And I keep trying to tell my family, like, you can't think of him like the person you've known your whole life, because it's not him. He's having a complete break with reality. It doesn't matter what he used to be like, because the world he sees is not our world. Like, you don't think he'll ever hurt you. Okay, he probably wouldn't. He, as who he is, would probably never take it out on you. But he is delusional to the point where he thinks you're going to attack his child. So of course he's going to defend himself and attack you and like protect his kid, right? Because in his mind, the reality of the situation is that you're a danger to his kid. What person wouldn't defend their child, right? So it's not that he wants to hurt you. It's not that, oh, this boy you grew up with and you raised as a son is going to come out of nowhere to hurt you. No, he's going to do what in his delusions makes a lot of sense. And if that involves hurting someone, then he's going to do that, because he's going to think that that's the right course of action. You can't, this is a lot of his mental illness. This is not just, oh, my brother is growing into a different person. No, this is a mental illness that's destroying him, that's taking over his life. And I don't know what I'm talking about. It just makes me real sad. But I also feel a lot of relief that he's gone, and I feel guilty that I feel relief. But anyway, so he's been checked into a mental health facility. I don't know how long he'll be gone. I don't know what the next course of action is. But it's some breathing room, where I can sleep comfortably, where my family members can sleep comfortably for a little while, not worrying where he's at or what trouble is he getting into. Because he just stares at people, man. Like, I kept thinking, I'm going to come home one night and find out that he attacked a rando who was walking down the street. Like, because he just gets in his head that these people are after him. Whatever, we don't have to talk about it. Anyway, I just wanted to give an update because I started talking about it and figured I owed people an explanation of kind of how things resolved. This was really only like 2 days where it was particularly bad. I'm very glad that he got taken into like protective, like into a place where he can be protected from himself. I think that was the right course of action. It's very sad, but I think that for sure this was the best thing to happen. So I don't know, I'll probably keep you posted, for when he comes home, or if he comes home, or what happens next. But for now, I'm safe. My family's safe. He didn't attack anyone, which is all that really matters, is that it didn't escalate to physical violence, and he's going to get the treatment that he needs. And I just hope that, maybe this time he'll stick with the medication and therapy and stuff. All right. Anyway, also, I have a nephew now, as I mentioned at the top of the show. Yeah. So it's been a weird day with some conflicting emotions. I don't know what to feel, but it's a step, and what do? You just go from here. So everybody, thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, I appreciate the support. And yeah, keep an eye on the channel. Probably going to record some AI Dungeon today, so there'll be a little bit more of that in the channel in the near future. But for now, that's a wrap. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.